Yes, Friday morning around the Clarence Valley, time to talk real estate, and the lovely Alison is in the studio. Good morning again.
Good morning, Damo.
Now, this morning we're going to talk about discrimination
Yes.
and the rights and the wrongs, and because discrimination is treating someone unfairly, and that's just not kosher, is it?
It's not. It definitely isn't. And you look at what unlawful discrimination is. It's race, sexual orientation, gender, your status of, if you're married to another female or a male, and also disabilities. So that's a big one, which we've discussed previously. You can't discriminate on their physical appearance and if they're disabled. Obviously, when it comes to that, if there's 20 stairs and they're in a wheelchair, obviously you just need to have that communication with that tenant and try and find them something that's more suitable. Marital status, single mums, single dads, 3 children, 4 children, 5 children. You can't discriminate on that as well. But in saying that, when I used to work for community housing, if you had 7 children, you really couldn't rent 1-bedroom unit because it was unsafe. And you need to make sure that with insurance, you've got, we understand, like the owner, that there's going to be 7 people in that property as well. And also age. So you can't discriminate somebody that's, say, 80 or 18. So there's a few things around that because you want to make sure that an 18-year-old is acceptable. They haven't rented before.
So we say that discrimination is unacceptable, but I mean, obviously at the end of the day, the landlord or the person that owns the property, even if they're going through a real estate agent, they're ultimately going to get the last say, aren't they? They're going to get the recommendation from the property manager. But if they've got, obviously, say, 2 people that they're choosing from, and one is, have got 5 kids and the other one has got no kids, and the landlord doesn't want kids, they're obviously going to go with the ones with no kids, but you're not going to be able to call them on discrimination, are you?
No, and that's where it sort of makes it quite hard.
Yeah.
So we, as property managers, we go through the applications. So we make sure that they can afford the rent. So when it comes to social housing, it used to be 30% of the income, of the weekly income. But now that's definitely changed because of all the rental prices gone up. It's about the 50 to 60% now.
Wow.
So you need to make sure that you're not going to put the tenant in financial hardship and also the landlord because they can't pay their mortgage. So that way, if they can't afford it, that's not discrimination, it's just not putting them in hardship, especially if they're a single parent. But a lot of single parents still work. They have more income than some married couples. So you can't discriminate, like we said, on their status. Yeah,
indeed. All right, so if you are discriminated against, what can you do?
Definitely ring fair trading. You can ring the tenancy advocacy, which I'm sure that you'll say at the end anyway who they are. And just give them a call to say, I feel like I've been discriminated against. You need to actually have a case of, was it put in writing by the agent or the landlord? Was there a verbal conversation that you can show evidence of? But at the moment, because we're such in a housing shortage, owners can be more picky. So you need to make sure that you've got a good track record when you're applying for a property. You've got rental references. That's a big key. Even if it's private rental, you need to make sure you've got that evidence. Like I said, if you're an 18-year-old, we've housed 16-year-olds too. So the best thing to do there, if your parents are renting through an agency, get the child's name on the lease as well. Because then you've got that kind of, rental reference as an 18, 19-year-old. Like we've talked about before, discriminating against pets. You can't discriminate when it comes to pets. But like I just said, you can't put a big dog in a small unit without a yard to start with. Discriminating against the race. So on an application, we can't ask what nationality they are, what country they're from, things like that as well.
Yeah.
So we're just going to make sure the application doesn't show discrimination.
Yeah, and of course there is that tribunal process through NCAT as well.
Yes.
So if it gets that far, if you do feel like you have been discriminated against and you put your complaint forward, then there is that NCAS or that NCAT process. The Anti-Discrimination Board is available on 1-800-670-812. All the community legal centres on 0292127333. But of course, all those information is available through tenants.org.au.
Oh, they definitely is. So that's fantastic support for the tenants and for landlords as well, because they need to know their rights and responsibilities as a homeowner.
Indeed. All right, we'll see you next week.
Thank you.
Our house in the middle of